Hello and welcome back to my restoration of a Rogers Majestic entertainment console from the early 1960s. Egad, am I really up to episode 8? Sometimes I think this project is never going to end. But at least I have some progress, and I did learn a lot about 1950s and early 60s tube circuit design. I even managed to do a replacement circuit for the unobtainium lamps that the radio depends upon. But as par for the course with this project, no sooner had I fixed something than I discovered something else was wrong. There's no pins to go in. I'm not sure at this point if disappearing IF can slugs are a result of the great drop from episode 3.
Oh dear.
Or am I just seeing how they were put together and the effects of age? But I'm sure we'll find out in this episode if they're any good. The first thing I had to do was remove the cans from the circuit board, which was an easy enough process. I just made double sure that I was removing the correct can and that I had clearly marked the orientation of can on the circuit board and on the can itself. Now let's see what was inside. So I managed to get the IF can out of there. I had to bend it a bit to open it, and believe it or not, this is the ugliest IF can I've ever seen. It is really ugly, all waxed in there. Zoom in a little bit more and you can see. Focus. Yes, it's really an ugly piece of stuff. I have no idea how they would ever adjust that. Anyway, as I was taking it apart, a couple pieces fell off from the bottom. I'll go get them right now. Be right back. Inside there were two slugs, 2 screws and 2 slugs, but no way to secure them down. They'll go in there easy enough. Somehow. Don't think it matters which one goes where. Yeah, that one goes in there. This one's a little wider. It goes like that. So there's no way to screw them in and out. So they must have been done in the factory by default on a machine and then just brought out and done a final adjustment in wax, or waxed in like that. And my guess is that the wax just get really solid over all these years, and as soon as I touched them they just basically fell right inside. So I have to work out some way to hook these up. I got some good old plasticine here. What I might do is just put plasticine in there to hold it up this high, and then when I'm aligning it, pushing it down to where it'll come back into alignment, and then just leave it the way it is. I'll probably have to pull it up and down a bit, but I'll see what sort of thing I come up with. Anyway, got to go put this back on thing now. And one of the important things is to mark. There's the mark there, but also mark on this on which side you took it off. So I know this goes here. And then on my board I have on the circuit board before I had that marked as well, so I know which one's which. Anyway, let's get this one set up to go. I did find a couple of pieces of plastic when I was putting it back together, so I guess I did damage it when I dropped it. And I suppose I was just really lucky I didn't damage any of the other IF cans. In the end I decided to forego the plasticine. It was just too messy to work with. All I needed to do was add a length of heat shrink to the end of the slugs, and they seemed to work fairly well. Okay, that's all back in place. Didn't do these two here, the main holding ones or the grounding pins yet, because if I have to take it off again, they don't matter right now. And if I have to take it off again to see if I fix it, why bother resoldering yet again? Anyway, let me flip her over or plug her in and see if we can get alignment done on it. Okay, so all back together again. I got my, let's see, I have my RF signal generator running. It's hooked up to test point 1, which is right there, according to the diagram. I'll turn her on. Alright, there's a hum. We should get lots of hum because the can isn't insulated. So we'll put it on AM. And we start moving these things around. Whoa, sensitive. Well, at least we know the IC cans are working. Well, there we go. Alright. Right, so it can be aligned. So the process now is to get the oscilloscope out and fix that up. But I think what I'm going to do first, now that I got that fixed, is hook these LEDs up in a more permanent way somehow. Turn that off. So what I'm going to do now is hook those LEDs up in a permanent way and then get those aligned and glued in place. Well, the only complicated part with mounting the lamp replacement circuit was that I had to replace a 3-position terminal strip with a 4-position terminal strip. Anyway, here's a little gunny music to take us through this.
Loving you meant only heartaches. Your kiss was such a sacred thing to me. I can't believe it's just a burning memory. Heartaches, heartaches. What does it matter how my heart breaks? I could be happy with someone new, but my heart aches for you.
Okay, so I got all the tubes in, and let's see if I got this one in correctly. I hope I did. I'll turn on the dim bulb. Make sure that's off. We're on the test. Plugged in. Turn on the switch. Yay! Look, we have 2 LEDs. So now I'm gonna burn in for a few hours to see if it goes and see what I get.
Many hours later.
Back again. I let it burn in for 4 hours and it's still running. So it burns for 4 hours, it'll burn forever. The 10 watt resistor is getting no warmer than the other 10 watt resistor, which is good. And there's not a heck of a lot of heat coming out of it, which is good. So, what next? time to do the alignment with those kinked up things I did, so I'll set up for that next. Alright, all set for the alignment now. Put the dial string back on. I had to put the front plate on to get it aligned. Put that straight there. So I had no big dooey there. Basically have my RF generator running at 455 kilosicles. Not all the way over. Turn her on here with the volume all the way up. Put it on FM. AM I should say. AM, which is there. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's too loud. Let me turn that down a bit. I'm going to do it so we can just barely hear it. And all we do now is adjust these without touching any live wires. That's about a peak there. Let's see what this side does. Nice peak there. Well, that's about the highlight of the realignment. There wasn't much anything to do, just had to sit there and go back and forth constantly until everything was lined up. Fortunately, the FM came out fine, so we'll just breathe through this section and pop along to the next section. So I got a little dipole antenna down in the basement. I'm actually getting something on the FM, and it's right on the wire. Not bad for the basement down here. So,
It's just, you know, it's life.
I think we're good to go.
Et Midi Info, donc, c'est repris, c'est tous les jours à 11h30. Marie-Louise Arsenault qui peut arriver donc les samedis 9h et le 7 septembre le 12 octobre sur RDI de cette émission.
But this time, she had a lot more notice. Now, if you want to see shots of Amanda's seat filming for the stars, check out our seat.
That's right on the right CBC station. 900. Perfect. Good. She's all aligned. I'm surprised after dropping it, smashing the circuit board, and putting in the LEDs. Now I just got to put it back in and hook up the radio, and I think we're all good to go. Yay! So before I stick it back into the chassis, and it's gone forever, we can review the changes I had to make. Well, of course, I had to recap it all, which is all those big caps there, these two caps there. I think there's one little cap under here. In the end, I swapped out that diode because it was leaking a bit. So I swapped it out for a new one. And of course, there's my, over here, it's my strip with the new LED in there. We flip her over. The bulb, or tube I should say. There's my terminal strip with my changes for the LED there, and the LED tailing off over here. What else did I do? I put an XY cap, or actually just a Y cap there for safety. New cap in there, and of course I fixed where I broke the circuit board. I fixed that, and of course the final thing I did was clean up these IF cans and left those thingies sitting there. So now time to put it back in the chassis. So of course I'm just about ready to slide this back in. But there's just one thing to remember. If you notice right here, there's a little guide for the needle, and it's got to go in there. There you go. And once that's in there, it just all slides in nice and neat. And then I attach the wires and everything up, and it should be good to go. Okay, I'll go back out. Okie dokie, just doing the final hookup. I got the LED hooked in there nice. I'm just gonna do the plug for the cable. Oh no, wait, stop. So I got that hooked in there, the LED that's pointing to the front done. Next one I'll do is the speaker hookup, but before I do that, I've got a ground I've got to connect somewhere. So all I'm gonna do, this is the ground for the turntable. There's nowhere to go for it, and it's just supposed to go to a chassis ground somewhere. So all I have is a little screw nut there, and I'll put that up in there, and that'll give me a nice chassis ground. Okay, we have the RCA jacks coming out. Here's to the left, right, I should say. These screws. It goes way over here into the right. Tie wrap around those just to keep them in order. Flop around too much. Oop, that came off. Oh, have to find a better screw for that, I think. Maybe another washer. Anyway, get that one fixed up first. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to check to make sure that's chassis grounded correctly now. So put that on the chassis of that, and it should. Good. Good. Coming off the chassis. Okay, that's nicely grounded now. Okay, what's next? We got those connected. We've got the ground connected. Ah, my power connector, which goes in here. That, actually, speakers first. Speakers go over here. There we go. That's connected. Radio is connected. Good. I'll put some cable, some stuff in there to stop that from flopping about. And antennas. DP left.
Five minutes later.
So it's running nicely.
When we started, daylighting was people's eyes crossed and glazed and they looked.
Sounds nice. Only one little problem.
What are you talking
Put
about?
the
And now it's a common practice. Everyone's doing it.
stereo on. I mean the phono on. That's at full volume. Doesn't have the oomph through the small 2-tube triode and the Garad 0-100 to put any power out. So I'll have to do something about that. Not sure. I might be able to get a better head for the Garad with more voltage. This is not putting out enough voltage to really be useful, but it's running full and complete, which is great. So this project is almost done.